Should start the live stream and then you can.
Wait.
Okay, start the live stream and then you can. Yeah.
Look, this is the very start, and we will start with we will continue, better say, with some geographical issues on our subject. So beside the circled area, all dots are referring to the sites we are dealing with, and all of them, before I start to present you, are referring to tumuli. So we have exclusively the tumuli area. This is the western part, as I said, of present-day Serbia. Geographically belongs to the large complex of the Dinaric Alps, characterized by the dominating mountains massifs intersected by small rivers, a typical landscape of the greatest part of the Western Balkans. This scenery was a homeland of distinctive Bronze and Iron Age cultural groups, mainly recognizable by their funerary practices. The most remarkable is the practices is seemingly mandatory use of tumuli for interment of deceased. During the late Bronze Age, which in this part of Balkans is absolutely dated from the 1500 to 1200 BC, or according to some authors up to 9 or 800 BC, ritual burials were practiced. This concept encompassed both inhumation and incineration of deceased. In this sense of cultural attribution, the period of late Bronze Age is connected with the phenomenon for which in current Serbian literature several terms are used, sometimes posing confusion, but actually all referring to the same material culture. Its traditional term, introduced by Glutinger Rasharin and published in the seminal monograph Prehistory of Yugoslav Lands in 1983, and consequently most widely known and spread in the West is the West Serbian variant of Batin culture. More recently, other researchers have renamed it in accordance with the latest results and new approaches in following manners, which are listed here, and I will read you. The Moisinje Dobrečak horizon after Milorad Stojić, the Brezjak culture after Vojislav Filipović, Aleksandar Bulatović, or the West Serbian group of the late Bronze Age after the authors of this contribution. But there are no still official consensus on this issue. Having the long-term research of the late Bronze Age mortuary context in Western Serbia for almost 150 years, if we include the pioneer works from the end of the 19th century, a solid material basis suitable for various classification and systematization was provided. Different generations of researchers used stylistic typological analysis with interpretation of funerary practices for establishing relationships between cultural groups. The existing terminology is more related to the general features of the culture rather than to its refinements. However, certain types of bronze objects have been more meticulously elaborated and therefore have provided more precise chronological and typological pieces of information. On the other hand, when analyzing pottery itself, application of actual typology has not led to any innovative approach to pottery studies. Different researchers have developed different systems and consequently very diverse terms used for similar ceramic forms or types are in use. Moreover, the terms only demarcate formal types without precising the details such as dimensions, other formal differences, or presumed function. Lack of adequate terminology concerning the vessels in funerary context, which often remained incompletely elaborated or only implied, does not contribute to a deeper understanding of its role in mortuary practice. For these reasons, it was necessary to unify the terms within the framework of this cultural phenomenon in order to make this system function logically. The current study aimed for a classification beyond typology of ceramic beakers, since they are the most striking ceramic finds in Western Serbia of the time. They were discovered mostly in cremation graves under the tumuli, while in inhumation there were only 2 examples. It is worth mentioning that the settlements of this period represent an insufficiently researched category, and therefore it is not possible to make a comparison between the pottery found in funerary and household contexts. Speaking in morphological terms, beakers basically refer to vessels with a wide and rounded belly, as the picture depicts, more or less wide neck, and often aromatically modeled rim and 2 handles. Our analysis was conducted on the sample of 66 beakers in total. This number relates to the published example, although it's possible that a certain number is stored in museum depots without being mentioned in previous publications. The analysis was employed on the large set of beakers published as such, regardless their dimension, shape, style, or production details or presumed function, to obtain results correlating the elements using 3 basic criteria, which are painted in red here. And these refer to morphological characteristics, meaning shape, dimensions referring to height, and attribution and function, which are based on the context. Having described the analytical framework and assuming the nominally homogeneous set is masking substantial differences, we are going to try to refine the classification of beakers in order to check if selected criteria and their correlation, comprising formal characteristics and context, can indicate some regularities. With this in mind, the correlation of several common criteria of beakers will be tested. Following this model, other general classes of ceramic vessels from the same area, such as pots, amphora, bowls, etc., can also be treated in the similar manner. The first characteristic whose homogeneity is tested is morphology here, the shape of the beakers. The basic analysis resulted in 3 different groups for which we conditionally use the term morphological subtype. The first one refers to beakers with 2 ribbon-like handles connecting the shoulder and the rim with a volute or horn-like protons on their tops. The second one are the beakers with 2 small horizontally perforated handles placed on the shoulder. And the third one referred to beakers without typical handles. Instead, the handles, they had 4 massive protuberances regularly placed on the widest part of the belly. The next criterion considers the menstruant size, actually the height here of the beakers, which gives the basis for separation of 3 groups. The first group belongs to the smallest beakers, measuring between 5 and 10 centimeters in height. The second one is represented by beakers which measure between 11 and 20 centimeters in height, and the third one, which is the largest one, comprises the beakers over 21 centimeters in height, but some items measure more than 30 centimeters in height, but this is rather rare. The next analyzed criterion goes to grave context. It was tested whether the beaker was used as an urn or was placed in the grave as a grave good. The practical use of beakers caused the necessity of basic separation and matching the morphological and other characteristics in relation to the function. Application of the method also revealed certain regularities that would be discussed more later in detail. The group of mid-sized beakers, which measured between 11 and 20 centimeters in height, attracted particular attention. This group represents transitional form between the first, the small beakers that measured between 5 and 10, placed as a grave goods, and the large one, over 21 centimeters in height, that were used as urns. Regarding the function, it does not reveal clear regularity in this group, but rather was used in both purposes. These examples could have been both used as grave goods, like we had all information and incineration graves, but also used as urns, like we have examples in Bukovac, Brezet, Faulia, Josheva, etc. The number of items belonging to this group is not insignificant. We have so far 17 items in this group. Having the relatively clear possibility to classify the present beakers in accordance with the mentioned categories, it seems so far that the manufacture and decoration do not have a significant regularity. Most striking is the decoration of beakers with the handles connecting the shoulder and the rim, which belong to the morphological subtype 1, with the volutes on their tops. These items, usually urns, as a rule, have the following decoration. Horizontal channeling on the shoulders and foot and vertical on the rounded belly, along with 4 protuberances symmetrically arranged. Mostly beakers of smaller size can bear some variation mixed with this one. One could say a basic decorative pattern. Following described criteria and their correlation, the basic division of West Serbian beakers should be grounded on their morphological characteristics, which primarily concern the shape and position of the handles. In accordance with this, the basic division is proposed as here: West Serbian beakers of subtype 1 with a ribbon like handles which connect the shoulder and the rim and the volutes on their tops. The second one is the one with the small handles placed on the shoulder, and the third subtype is belong to the small beakers without handles but with 4 protuberances. And when we correlate all these criteria, we have this table, and we will discuss in order with these morphological subtypes, where the first subtype, I will try to use the pointer here. So the first subtype regularly shows that the beakers small in height exclusively represent the grave goods, most probably as a food or liquid containers, while those over 21 centimeters in height exclusively represented the urns. The transitional group measuring between 11 and 20 centimeters in height confirmed both functions. This subtype is most numerous within the West Serbian group of Late Bronze Age, with 44 items in total. The second subtype, West Serbian beakers of type 2, are more or less numerous in comparison with the first one, and there are 17 items in total. Again, the beakers small in size, between 5 and 10 centimeters in height, belonging to this subtype, are exclusively used as a grave goods. Those over 21 centimeters function as urns, but in regard to the first subtype is much less numerous. There are only 2 beakers used as urns. The transitional group confirm again both functions. And the third group, the third subtype, so far comprises only items small in height. The items measure between 5 and 10 centimeters in height, and are represented by only 5 items in total, all deriving from the eastern periphery of this group, from the sites of Moisinje and Dobrecha exclusively. And when testing the height of the vessel in particular grave context, meaning when putting in correlation the height of the vessel in grave context, it turns that the smallest beakers were always used as grave goods, most probably as a food or liquid containers. The majority belong to the cremation graves, by only 2 examples from Bela Crkva and Belotic are from inhumation context. This result is in accordance with the expected, since the opposite situation, where the smallest beakers could be used as urns, would probably indicate pars pro toto concept. And just to conclude all these ideas, the presented results, which concern the late Bronze Age beakers from Western Serbia, could be suitable for more meticulous description of the finds and tentative reconstruction of their role in funerary practices. Typological approach has been restricted to the morphological characteristics of analyzed vessels. When the dimensions were put in correlation with morphological characteristics, the typology proved unsatisfactory. The same stands for the vessel function based on the grave context. Same of the mentioned morphological specificities can be interpreted as a result of specific local manufacture. The eastern periphery of West Serbian group, the sites of Moisinje and Dobrecha, undoubtedly locally produced the specific pottery, among which West Serbian beakers 3 were defined. Hopefully, the proposed models might be of substantial importance in facilitating further research and obtaining clearer regularities concerning pottery used in mortuary rituals. That was this.
Thank you very much. You showed us how, based on different attributes, different group can be distinguished, and this was the point of our meeting. So, are there any questions? Please. Everything is clear.
Perfectly clear.
Thank you, Katja, very much. Okay, now we have an online presentation. So I will wait for Katja to switch to the online mode.
Yes.
And I would like to invite Nikolai Sherbakov, results of comprehensive analysis of late Bronze Age ceramics from the Southern Urals. Nikolai, can you hear us? Can you see us?
Hello, colleagues.
Okay, we can hear you. Please share your presentation.
Just a minute, please.
Mhm.
It's okay?
Yes, it's okay. Please proceed.
Кажи случайно.
Super.
The result of our research, which we would like to share with you, were obtained during archaeological excavation in the Kazburun archaeological microdistrict. The Kazburun microdistrict is located in southern Urals and stretches 22.7 kilometers along the Ushak River and confluence. This area is a forest steppe with predominance of steppe spaces. This small area contains more than 2 archaeological sites from the late Bronze Age and early Iron Age. These sites include Barrow Mound and large settlement. During the late Bronze Age, the southern Urals became a contact zone of the population of the Srubna archaeological community. Which occupied the Volga-Don antifluve, and the Alakulskaya or Andronovo cultural tradition, which migrated from northern Kazakhstan and western Siberia. During the long-term coexistence in this contact zone, a unique mixed culture Srubna Alakul developed. This led, on the one hand, to the preservation of the characteristic features of each of them, and on the other hand, to the creation of mixed complexes with features of both archaeological cultures. For our report, we selected 2 of the largest late Bronze Age sites in the Kazburun microdistrict, the Usmanovo Free Burial Mound and the Muradim 8 settlement. Radiocarbon dating of both sites yielded dates ranging from 1880 Col BC to 1630 Col BC. The dating was conducted using human skeletons, ceramic fragments, and our organic material. Ceramic is the most material excavated in the late Bronze Age. The study of ceramic complexes, together with the study of the funeral fire peculiarities, made it possible of distinguish archaeological cultures and their interaction in the late Bronze Age of the Southern Urals. In Russia, Bobrinsky developed an independent scientific trend of the pottery study, a historical and cultural approach to the study of ancient ceramics. The purpose of pottery material study within the frames of historical and cultural reals is reconstruction of culture traditional in pottery manufactured within the study's population. In the process technical analysis of the ceramics, it was established that the vessels were admixtures of fire clay, sand, and organic in different concentration. Thin section petrographic analysis has been undertaken on 6th late Bronze Age shots from the Usmanov Free Site, Kazburun microdistrict by Patrick Sean Quinn. In this site, we can see you can see ceramics, vessels, and pot in Srubna and Alakulska culture and the mixed Srubna Alakulska community in Southern Urals. Thin section petrographic analysis and instrumental geochemical analysis has been undertaken on 8 late Bronze Age shots from Usman Free Burial Ground and Nuradin settlement that have been belonged to the Srubna and Alakulska cultures. The aim of this analysis was to characterize the ceramics and grouping them in terms on their raw materials and manufacture technology. The samples were compared petrographically and geochemically to 4 clay samples collected in the field from surrounding region in order to speculate of the possible raw material sources and production location of the ceramics. Date on the concentration of the remaining 28 elements was explored using multivariate statistic in order to detect compositional similarities and differences between the analysis samples. This was carried out using the principal components analysis and hierarchical cluster analysis. These two methods were performed on both the raw data in parts per million and the same data set transformed to base the 10 logarithm. Patterns were explored using bivariate scatter plots of selected element. This analysis above indicated that shared Usmanova compositionally and technologically related to one another. This close correspondence between the two methods suggests that these samples were made with the same raw materials and the paste preparation methods. This means that they could have been manufactured at the same site and by the same group of people. Despite closely resembling the other 6 Grok-temper ceramics in thin section, sample Muradim 8 showed 6 was found to be geochemically distinct from them. This indicated that while it was made with similar raw material and the past preparation technology, the clay and grog temper were different composition. Given that it was found at another site, this may suggest that it was made in a different place and possibly by different people. The petrographic and geochemical mismatch between the 6 grog-tempered ceramics from Usmanova and the 2 analyzed clay samples from the close to the site seems to suggest that this material was not used in their manufacture. While this could suggest the ceramics were not made at Usmanova, further field samples from the area are required before this can be considered as a strong possibility. Similarly, the two clay samples collected near Muradim don't match the group-tempered shots from this area, indicated that it was also not made from this material. It's fourth, nothing that the clay samples collected from the two areas are compositionally related to one another in the terms of their geochemistry and petrography. This may be explained by the sites being located on similar bedrock geology and or on the same river system. With one with in mind, as well as the mismatch between the raw material samples and the drop tempered ceramics from the both sides. Its many tentatively suggest that the pottery in non-local was brought from another area. While the presence of grog in the latter may have altered the chemical composition of the clay sources used in the whey production, this is not likely to account for the mismatch seen in this report. Surprisingly, there appears to be a geochemical association between the analyzed clay samples and the talc-rich shot from Muradim. Given that one on the clay samples contained talc, it could be that the distinctive inclusion were added to the shot. In this case, a local clay source could have been used as a base clay. This is tentative interpretation. It is a point of the talc-rich shot bears no petrographic relationship to the analysis clay samples. Thus, construction of where was carried out in accordance with several programs of staff preparing. A wide variety of clays and the many composition of molding compounds discovered in investigate ceramics may mean possible inflow of little groups of population probably caused by marital context. At the same time, investigated methods of staff preparation in accordance with different program prove that in combine of population groups that left the settlements and barrow as the least two culturally different population groups took place. The ceramics of Srubne culture and historical community is fairly standardized. The ornament is represented by spike stamp bulbs, incised lines, diamonds, open triangles, seed chain identified in the contact zone of the two population group mixed Srubne and Andronovska Alakulska vessels with signs, zoomorphic pictographs, sophisticated symbolic figures were identified. The morphological analysis of the vessels allowed identify three groups: the Srubne archaeological culture, the Andronovska Alakulska archaeological culture, and the mixed Srubne Alakulska vessels. Let me conclude our speech here. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Nikolai. Do we have any questions? I must say Ilya Palagurka has sent us message on chat. It illustrates only different sources of clay, how it correlates with pottery making techniques, how were these pots made? Can you tell us anything about the techniques?
Yes, I see. We haven't information for this technique and chemical material include clay or vessels.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
You, okay, we can conclude this part of the session 3, and I would like to suggest to have a shorter break, 10 minutes maybe, until 3:30, and then we will continue. Is that okay? I think it's okay. Okay. Hmm.